Hi there, folks. Sean Broderick. I'm in Toronto again at the Benzinga Cannabis Conference. I have a great treat for you this time. Jessica Billingsley. She's the Chief Executive Officer of MJ Freeway. It's not a public company yet, but changes are afoot. She's going to tell you about them and what her company does. Start with either one you want, but I think my viewers need to learn more about your company, so please go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks for having me. MJ Freeway invented seed-to-sale tracking. We are the leader in cannabis technology. We serve clients in every legal U.S. state. We're really the only cannabis technology company that's truly operating globally with clients in 12 countries. We serve the entire cannabis supply chain compliantly in every legal jurisdiction.
And so one thing that I did want to mention on that is, as you said, you're in all the major U.S. states that have legal cannabis. You're also in countries like Colombia, moving into Europe, stuff like that. So all those places where we are seeing cannabis grown, because it's turning into a competitive market. You're there to actually provide your services, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. So often, clients in new countries, we will be the first software that is in use, and part of that is our commitment to meeting compliance and meeting it in every new legal cannabis market. So currently there's a lot of movement actually in Latin America. We're really excited about the future for cannabis in Latin America. Colombia in particular has a really interesting model allowing import and export, and the major producers there are all using MJ Freeway.
Excellent. Now, you don't have your company is not publicly traded yet, but that's changing. Could you explain that?
Absolutely. So we announced that we are merging with MTech. Currently trades on the NASDAQ under MTEC. And that merger will complete here in the May-June timeframe. And MTech is currently a special purpose acquisition company, so SPAC for short. And what that means is that they've raised money in trust. So they've got about $57.5 million in trust. When we complete the transaction, we will become the surviving entity with the funds in trust and trading on the NASDAQ. Okay,
and so that's an interesting way to approach this, because that stock right now is not acting like it's going to be a cannabis tech company, but it will be soon, which is very, very interesting. So let's talk about tech in cannabis. You and I had a chat yesterday, and like you said, most companies in the space are not really using enough tech, enough data. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Oh, that's a good point. So in any other industry, according to Gartner, businesses spend about 6% of their total revenue on technology solutions. They spend 3.5% just on enterprise and IT solutions. So in cannabis today, that represents a $300 million market opportunity just in the enterprise and IT space. It's a $1 billion market opportunity in just a couple years. And right now in cannabis, most of these businesses are so new that they are underspending vastly in the technology area. And that will continue as competitive pressures mount, as consolidation continues, and as globalization continues to be realized. These businesses will need to invest in their infrastructure in order to achieve the efficiencies that good technology can deliver in terms of ROI.
Okay, so we probably should see, if things move like other industries have, we should see explosive growth in that area.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. I mean, the market opportunity is there today, and the businesses need to start making some of those investments. And we are seeing that from the enterprise tier of businesses, which is more of the business that MJ Freeway serves.
Okay.
We're starting to see that investment.
One more thing that I did want to touch on is that your technology really tracks the plants from like seed to sale. It's easy to use though, so it's not hard to use. So like people won't say, well, I'm not going to enter all that data, because they get more out of it than they put into it. And also, one thing you were saying in your presentation yesterday is that you can show companies empirically that using your software actually pays off for them in the long run. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. We focus a lot on case studies and ROI, and actually our guarantee to our clients is to deliver more value than we cost. So we should be able to very easily, if technology is doing its job well, it is making things easier and easier to track the data to be able to make decisions about your business. And we are very focused on that. for the person who's doing the data entry, it's a very clean and simple interface. And for the person who's doing the analysis, they've got a suite of very robust business intelligence reports and dashboards from which to make their business decisions.
Great. What kind of changes do you think you'll see in the cannabis tech space heading forward? What new tech will come down the line, and how will that impact the business?
So one thing that I think is coming in technology, there's been this high focus on compliance, but there hasn't been as much of a focus on, and I'm going to bring it back to data again. There hasn't been as much of a focus on who is the customer and why is the customer buying when the customer buys, and that's the type of insight that our system can deliver through our tracking and our methodology. And I think as we begin to understand that better, there will be much more in the way of targeted marketing, loyalty programs, etc. Once e-commerce comes down the line. So that there are people now, for instance, who in most U.S. markets, e-commerce is not really a thing. You can order online for pickup in store or in limited markets where delivery is available. But I think that it's important for any business to be thinking about building an e-commerce presence in their SEO now, because when federal change comes, it will be important to have already had that presence.
What's your guess on the federal change? I've heard some people say within, around the next election. Other people say, oh, it's at least 5 years away. Would you have any opinion on that?
I feel pretty strongly that something's going to happen in the next election.
Okay.
If you look at the polling and you look at where cannabis is polling today, I don't believe that we will have a presidential candidate that can be elected on an anti-cannabis platform. And I think they're going to be forced to take a stance.
Very interesting. What's the revenue of your company now, and would you care to make a projection on how much you'll be making a year from now?
So our revenue, which is in our S4 filing, is $11 million this year. And with some targeted acquisitions, our intention is to put together $50 million in revenue next year.
Really? That ain't bad. Okay, is there anything we haven't covered? Is there anything you'd like to add? So we should mention that they are merging with this company on the NASDAQ. We already said that, but the symbol there is MTEC, so keep that in mind. But is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think it's important to note that it's kind of an interesting opportunity right now when it's a bit confusing in the market. Wait, I buy MTEC to own MJ Freeway? We are already under definitive agreement to merge and have filed our documents. And so the stock does currently trade under MTEC, and it trades at just the value of the cash in trust. It doesn't trade on any of what MJ Freeway is or what we can do. And I think there's a very interesting opportunity to purchase now in advance of our close.
Okay, so they aren't pricing in what you guys are going to bring to the party. That is an amazing opportunity. Thanks very much for speaking to my viewers. You folks stay tuned. I'll have more for you from Toronto. This has been a great conference, and I'm finding a lot of exciting companies like this one. Stay tuned.